dude, I love this.
Yeah.
I feel really fancy right now.
You feel professional?
I feel and I'm comfortable.
Yeah, me too.
I'm comfortable? Yeah, this is the
work.
ticket.
I like it. So, all right. Ready to do this?
Always, bro. Let's do this.
Nice. Hello, Internet. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
LeBron talks retirement.
A pitcher hits 104.6 miles per hour.
And new rules in the NFL.
All that and more. My name is Darren. That's AJ, and this is the DNA Sports Recap.
Roll the intro.
How's it going, AJ?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Busy week. How about you?
Busy week. And, it seems like every time we sit down to do this, the set completely changes. So, yes.
If you guys got any input, feel free. We'd love to hear what you think of our ever-changing set.
Yeah. And we will listen to it and just directly dismiss it. So
Excellent.
Yeah, we want to be comfortable on set, guys.
Yeah,
okay?
we're just trying to be comfy.
We're here for a while. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First thing I want to talk about is, did you see exit interview that LeBron James had after the loss in the playoffs there?
I did. I saw his comments that he's got a lot to think about.
Yes.
When it comes to the future of his career.
So did you catch when the ESPN reporter chased him down the tunnel and got some more information from him?
No, I don't think so.
So he said, well, what do you mean by you have a lot to think about? Whether or not I'm going to keep playing. He's like, what do you mean, like next year? And he said yes. So basically kind of off the record, but still on the recording, he said that he's considering. Now, I have my opinions on this, but what are you thinking? What do you think that all meant?
So I think my opinion is probably I don't see him retiring forever. I could see him taking next year off, helping his health, get back to healthy, and then getting to a point, because obviously after next year, Bronny's eligible for the NBA draft.
Right.
The big thing, like we said in a previous episode, is he wants to play with Bronny in the NBA. That's one of his dreams. Whether that's Bronny's dream or not, completely different subject, completely different video. So I did a little bit of digging into this. If he does retire, the Lakers would most likely place him on the voluntarily retired list. This allows the Lakers to wipe his salary off of their books.
Okay.
And the Lakers would also retain his rights if he does choose to return. The Lakers do their draft pick next year goes to the New Orleans Pelicans.
Right.
I don't think that he returns unless he has a chance to play with Bronny. So I think he could maybe take a voluntary year off, but if he comes back, he's still with the Lakers if he voluntarily retires.
Right, his rights are still controlled by the Lakers.
Yep, exactly.
And then they can say, okay, well, your son got drafted by, let's say, Chicago or something like that. If you want to go play for Chicago, then Chicago needs to make a trade.
Yep.
For LeBron. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So is that what you think he's doing? You think he's potentially retire for a year?
I don't know. I think it's definitely a potential, dude. I mean, I think this playoff run probably weighed on him a little bit more than he was really kind of wanting to let on. I mean, LeBron James isn't in his early 30s anymore. He's in his late 30s.
Yeah. I mean, at a certain point, you got to ask yourself, this wasn't on LeBron, man. Like, where'd the rest of this team show up that actually played very well down stretch?
Yeah, I mean, when Austin Reeves is your next biggest contributor, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I actually think that's a pretty good idea for him to potentially take a year off. I haven't even thought about that.
So what was your idea?
I think this is just, executive LeBron doing his thing to try and shape the league the way he wants it. Yeah. He knows that his last chance to probably win a ring in LA is going to be next season. And he just was proven that even though he gives it his all, he's not enough to carry a team to the finals by himself. And the supporting cast he has right now also isn't enough. AD is hit or miss, I mean... Yeah,
AD's not a guy that's going to carry any team to a championship.
Austin Reeves did a great job.
But he's a second-year player.
Second-year player, and their second-best player on the court most of this playoff run. Let's be honest, but there is a way that it can happen. It would have to involve a signing training, and it will have to involve Kyrie being willing to give up $70 million in a contract. So, I mean, we know he's willing to give up, tens of millions of dollars in a contract if he just simply wants to sit out because of, his own personal beliefs and stuff like that. So he has walked away from money in the past. So in order for him to win another ring potentially with LeBron and sign a contract in a big market, that's the problem. Is LeBron's around for one more year, and then he's off to go play with his kid. But now you're stuck with Kyrie for the next 3 seasons after that. So you kind of have to. I
mean, that's kind of crazy. That's the worst thing that's going to happen to you as the Lakers if you can get Kyrie, is you're stuck with an all-star, top 10 potential player for the next 3 seasons
when he decides to play.
Well, I guess that's the issue, right? Okay, I see where you're coming from there. If he doesn't decide, if he chooses not to play, you're kind of out of luck there.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie's a great player. No one, your best ability is your availability, and if you're not on the court, you're no different than you and me.
Agreed. Yep.
So I think it would be a huge swing for the Lakers to try and make that happen. To swing the trade with Dallas. Dallas would sign him, then they would trade, and they would trade away that first-round draft pick, that one they still have. They'd also have to give up Jared Vanderbilt and a lot of key players that they don't want to give up.
Oh, yeah. Mo Bamba, Malik Beasley, all those guys are going to have to go if they're going to try to get Kyrie.
But you can make it happen. You can make it work. The only 2 key pieces is, A, would the Lakers be willing to trade that first overall protected pick? And would they be willing to do all that, trade all that young talent that helped get them to the playoffs to potentially have one more year of LeBron and Kyrie?
I think that's way too risky.
Yeah. I don't know. Does Kyrie on this Lakers team make any difference?
The thing is it's not going to be this Lakers team. Besides LeBron James currently, Anthony Davis and Christie are the only guaranteed contracts on the Lakers currently.
Right.
So everybody else is on.
Well, they're going to pay Austin Reeves. He's going to get a 5-year contract offer from somebody.
Yeah.
4-year, $50 million, something like that.
Yeah, and he's restricted, so they can match that.
So
yeah,
they'll pay him. I don't think they re-signed D'Angelo Russell.
I don't think so.
Yeah, the only problem, even with that concept, if they have Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Kyrie, AD, and
even if you have all those guys, you have absolutely zero bench depth.
To me, that's what he's doing. Is he's trying to say, okay, look, guys, I'm here for one more year. You need to build a team that's going to carry me, not me carry the team.
Yeah.
And then in the playoffs, I'll do my thing, but I need to have somebody else that can take over a game. And he's been basically begging since before the trade deadline that he wants Kyrie to be playing with him. So I think he's trying to force his hand to make that happen. At least that's my opinion on why he's saying what he's saying.
It's interesting.
We could both be wrong. He could be set to retire. Who knows?
If he's set to retire, I think he comes back to play with Bronny. Just come back healthy, ready to go.
Yeah. After a year of healing,
but then he does come back at 40 years old. He's 38. He's 38 now. He'd miss his year 39 and then be back at 40 years old to play with Bronny, which he could come back and I'm sure he could still be better than 85, 90% of the NBA at that point.
Did you hear that? Did you hear what he said?
That he said that he's still better than 95% of the NBA.
Yeah, actually, statistically, he's not wrong. If you remember the comments, that just came out of nowhere. He was talking about potentially trying. Oh, by the way, I'm 95% better than the rest of the league. It just kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere.
He was just reminding everybody, I'm still LeBron James.
Yeah, out of 400 and something people in the NBA on any given roster, 5% of that is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Sorry, quick math in the comments down below. Let us know. But would you consider LeBron still a top 15 player in the league? Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, easily top 10 still, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't see him doing it. I literally just think he's just trying to force the Lakers to do something with that last pick. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on into the NBA playoffs, shall we?
Yep.
Boston does hang on to get a win. Does it go 7 games? What do you think is going to happen?
I think they really probably poked the bear in Jimmy Butler with all of their pregame comments for Game 4. I mean, they obviously went out to win, and the Celtics looked fantastic in that game. Mm-hmm. They looked like the Celtics everybody expected. Why so late, guys? You're down 3-0 at that time, and you're going to choose to now start playing? You guys have been blown out of the water in these first 3. And don't get me wrong, the games were close and in some of them, but in even those close games, they were down 20 points in some of those losses. Miami's looked pretty dominant. I see Jimmy Butler looking to close this thing out. I think the worst thing that could happen for Miami is this thing goes to a 7-game series and they win it. Because if it goes to 7 games, those Nuggets are going to be so rested up that they're going to be able to take care of all those nagging injuries. I mean, really, either one of those teams, dude. That Nuggets team is really, really good. Now give them some extended rest.
They need to end this sooner rather than later because then they get extra rest days too.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, and they're definitely beat up. You know, did you hear this stat that 8 out of the 14 players they have on their roster went undrafted?
I did see that.
That is insane.
That is pretty impressive. It just shows you how good of a coach Eric Spoelstra is, dude.
Yeah, front office as well as, Pat Riley's really good about identifying talent over there. But yeah, if you sit there and break that down, man, bunch of undrafted players. And here they are, one game away from the NBA Finals. That's impressive, man.
Pretty cool. So who you got? If let's say Miami goes, obviously the Nuggets are already there. Is it Nikola Jokic to win his first or Jimmy Butler?
Who I think it's going to be, Jokic. I think he's going to get a ring, which is an excellent consolation prize. The vast majority of people I've spoken to think should have gotten his 3rd consecutive MVP award.
I agree.
Yeah, winning your first ring is an excellent consolation prize for that.
Yep.
That's what I think is going to happen. But do I think Jimmy Butler deserves to win a ring after this historic playoff run? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's going to be Jokic, but I would love to see Butler get the ring. But that's what I think is going to happen.
I think Jimmy Butler stands a chance. If you've watched any of these podcasts or YouTube channels, I talk about experience.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Butler's been there before. What I'm saying is he's been to the finals at least.
That's true.
He was on this Miami team when the Lakers won in the bubble.
Yep.
And I mean he had a great series against the Lakers when he played in the bubble. He had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, and averaged 43 minutes a night. He's been there. Yeah, he's a couple years older, but I don't think you're taking Jimmy Butler off the floor if they make it to the finals.
No.
He's got that. He's got 110 career playoff games. He's played in a lot of these big time games where you're going to play the whole game. You know that a lot of these possessions, every single possession counts, and a lot of these possessions can come down to, Jimmy, can you get us a bucket? Nikola Jokic doesn't have that.
No.
I do think the Nuggets team is more impressive. I think that this rest, like I was just saying, is huge. I think he's going to play a big part when it comes down to this, because is this non-rested Miami team who, they're going to have a week off or whatever, but they're not going to be in the position that the Nuggets are. And plus, Nikola Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. You know what I mean? Like, if there's any reason the guy should win a ring.
He was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial.
Have you not seen that?
Oh, that's great.
Oh, dude, yeah. There's like a total clip of him. The Taco Bell commercial is totally on, and they're like, Nikola Jokic, with the second pick, or with the 41st pick in the second round, Nikola Jokic is taken by the Denver Nuggets.
Oh my gosh, during a Taco Bell commercial. Yeah, I agree. I think Butler does stand a chance, but I do think that Denver's just a complete team from top to bottom, and this playoff magic they got going on with the Miami Heat, I think still a chance that Boston can pull this one out. I think if Boston pulls it out, they're done. Denver's going to take it.
You know how many
6.
teams have come back from 3-0, right?
Yes. In professional sports, it's happened once that I know of.
And in the NBA?
None.
0.
Yeah, never happened in the NBA. It's happened once.
Nobody loses 3 games in a row and then wins 4 games in a row against the same team.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. I don't think they're going to make it out, but it can. They definitely can make this interesting at least. So we have something to talk about for the next week.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Sports, that'd be great.
Fantastic.
You think it's Denver taking this one?
Yeah.
All right, agreed. All right. Again, if we both agreed, it's fantastic. Great.
No, absolutely not Denver. Miami in a landslide.
There you go.
Miami in 4.
Miami in 4. You hear it here first, guys. All right, let's go ahead and move on over to the NFL. So there's a lot of news that came out in the NFL this week, so we have something to talk about.
Finally.
Which is nice. Let's go ahead and first talk about the new rules. So
a fair catch from the 25-yard line in can be brought out to the 25-yard line.
Yes.
Yep.
How much does this move the needle? Does this really move the needle? I mean, some people who are big on special teams are kind of pissed about this, but...
Oh, if you're an offensive coordinator, you're super pissed about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty much taking that section of the game out, and I think that's really where this rule is kind of heading to. How long until they just eventually do away with kickoffs, period.
Yeah. Is that what you're thinking this is? Is this just a play to see how they do that?
I mean, the rule is currently in a 1-year trial period.
Okay.
And it's funny because in 1974, they moved the kickoffs from the 40-yard line to the 35-yard line to try to increase return rates, right? Because it's one of the most exciting plays to watch in football. Mm-hmm. Over that time period, or in that 1 year, return rates jumped from 75% to 90% returns.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then in 2016 they actually moved it again. So the rule, it went from you could take the ball out from the 20-yard. It was originally at the 20-yard line. They moved it to the 25-yard line. But then all teams were doing is kicking the ball straight up, trying to pin teams inside the 25-yard line.
Okay.
So they've kind of messed with this rule. It kind of went back and forth, And like I said, in '74 they were trying to increase how many balls were being returned. Then in 16 they move it back. They're trying to get teams to, not return the ball as much. Mm-hmm. And now it's like they're moving that needle a little bit further that way, trying to go almost completely away from these kickoff returns, because you have such a, these high impact collisions are what all these players are trying to get away from, especially when you have these high dollar receivers and that kind of stuff catching some of these returns. The last thing you want them to do is take an injury. I think it's definitely the league trying to improve player safety, but I think this is definitely a step towards the league doing away with kickoffs, period.
That's interesting. How would you feel about that? I mean, as far as the kickoff return, I know you mentioned it's the most exciting play in football.
I think, my opinion on this is, I think you're kind of taking some of those roster spots away from people. You know what I mean? Like, you've already got these really limited, some of these guys get their big opportunities on kickoff returns. They get to go out and block. I mean, some of these, younger guys only play on special teams and
they couldn't get
for the first couple years, that's all they're getting. Yeah, I mean, you can argue the league minimum in the NFL is like $750,000. So if you don't get to go out and block somebody for 5 seconds of the play runs,
right,
you're still making your money.
If you're even on the roster. Like, I think that's your point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If they get rid of special teams, there's no need to run out a certain team out there specifically for that. You just have your offense, defense.
Offense, defense is, and you might have special teams for your punt returns and stuff, but like, it gets rid of that one facet. I mean, kick returns are fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
Those can swing a game, and I love watching kick returns. When you see a returner take the ball and you're like, oh, here we go.
I see this being an issue for the PA for that reason. That's why I was curious on whether or not this was for player safety and it came from the players' side, or is it the NFL trying to just cut down costs by eliminating roster spots on teams, with the owners not having to pay as much.
And I didn't dig into it that far, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, honestly, there's no way we would know. Like, there's nothing that's going to be reported.
Oh,
on
right,
so,
right.
Yeah, that would all be speculation anyway. The NFL would not leak that kind of information. All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about Roger Goodell. Now, that's on the commissioner side of things. He was brought up several times over the week. There's a lot of conversation about him being in the final year of his current 4-year or 5-year, $200 million deal.
He's been the commissioner since '06, so he's been on probably multiple deals.
Yeah, his current deal, $200 million, and it expires in March of next year.
Yeah, currently earning $63.9 million.
Yeah, which is more than anybody else in the league. So
he's more valuable than Patrick Mahomes to the NFL. Disagree. Completely disagree.
Is he though?
Patrick Mahomes is the face of that league.
And Roger Goodell is basically the face of the owners' collective.
He is a scapegoat.
Yeah.
He's there to be a punching bag, and that's why he makes the big bucks, and I get that. But we're talking, this dude makes 6 times more than Adam Silver, who's the commissioner of the NBA. And 3 times more than Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball.
I would argue that the NFL is worth that much more than those teams. It
definitely is.
So to me, I think it's probably relative to the league's value, I guess.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's a 5-year, $200 million contract is what he's currently sitting on. So that's impressive. That is very impressive. So
I love it, dude.
You love that he makes that much money?
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him. Good on you. 63 years old, pulling in, your age in millions.
Did you see the Matarreza?
Yes. So let's talk about that and be very careful of our word choice here.
Yeah.
We have to use the term SA instead of what it actually is because, YouTube does not like you using those kind of words.
That's correct.
Okay, let's first talk about the incident, right? So he was originally drafted by the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm. Drafted in 2022. He was round 6, pick 180. He played for San Diego State University. Mm-hmm. He was, in 2021, the Ray Guy Award winner, top punter in the nation. He was also a unanimous All-American in 2021, and he had 79 punts that averaged 51.2 yards for San Diego State.
All right, then obviously these allegations came out about him being involved in this situation. This was when he was at San Diego State, right?
That's correct.
And this came out after he was drafted.
Correct. Correct. Yep.
In the course of this, he was then let go from the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
In their ways, they said it's best for both him and us to part ways at this point, let him handle that situation,
Yep.
and then let us move on with the team, so on and so forth. So
he was found not guilty of all of these charges. There was, all the tape came back, and an eyewitness says that he'd left before any of this stuff had happened.
Yeah, about a half hour to an hour before.
Yeah, so
he alleged.
And there was some clips and stuff that were shown, and he wasn't in any of those. So obviously San Diego State did a full investigation and found that he wasn't wasn't liable for any of that.
And then after the prosecution was shown these tapes, Matt was no longer not in any of them. Was the case dropped at that point?
Yeah, it was dropped against him.
Yeah, that's the problem though. Is he could have just easily settled this and potentially got another shot in the NFL. There are people who've done way worse that are still in the NFL today, but he chose to not settle.
I think he did the right thing, dude.
Yeah, he could have settled for $500,000 and been like, just to have this thing go away, and he chose not to. He chose to fight.
He wanted his name. He wanted his name cleared. Yeah.
Yeah, good on him, man. And how many years ago was that?
He was drafted in 21, so he missed all of last season.
All of last season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wow.
So and now it looks like in 23 he's going to get a chance to play. So
yeah,
I hope he does. Good luck to him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He's
That's
working
awesome.
out with the New York Jets. Is that
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Hopefully he kept himself ready.
Oh, I'm sure he was ready. Yeah, I'm sure he's out there kicking 100 balls a day just to make sure he's ready to go back to an NFL roster. He's like, I know I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and how poised he was for this whole thing, I speaks to his character.
Absolutely.
If you're wrongfully accused of something like that you didn't do, how easy would it be just to kind of lose it a little bit, and get a little angry, a little frustrated, and make a mistake.
Yep.
The fact that he kept it together and didn't, I think that's fantastic.
Stayed with it. I love it.
Yeah, that's good on him, man. Well, here we're rooting for you here at the DNA HQ here. So
is that what we're calling this place now? DNA HQ?
Sure.
I think we should start opening the shows. Welcome to the DNA Sports Recap headquarters.
Nice. You're looking live at DNA
live
HQ.
at the DNA HQ. Almost too many letters, I think.
DNA HQ? I don't know.
DNA HQ.
Actually, no, I think there is a podcast that opens up that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, ours will be better. You guys will tune in, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
That'll give us about 10,000 views an episode is switching to DNA HQ. I think that's a good...
None of our episodes are live, though. They're all pre-recorded.
That's
you guys
true.
like it pre-recorded, right?
Well, I think we need to get to a certain level of followers before we can do these live. We definitely could do these live and stream them live on YouTube.
People don't want to listen to me. Your editing makes it so that I sound way smarter than I actually am.
So, anything else on the NFL?
That was it, man. Those were the big events this week.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good. We actually had some stuff on the NFL this week.
It was nice to talk about. We didn't have to come with some BS thing to talk about the NFL. So, thanks, guys.
Please fact check all of the things we just spoke about with the NFL and leave any comments below on anything we jacked up.
Yeah, let us know because apparently I can't read a stat sheet on the NFL. So, all right. Moving right along here, let's go ahead and wrap things up today with a little bit of MLB talk, shall we?
Absolutely.
All right. So the only real thing I have on the MLB is what happened on Wednesday night. This was Minnesota Twins versus the New York Giants in a 7-1 win with the Twins beating the Giants. And it's a fellow by the name of Matt Hogan. He's a reliever for the Minnesota Twins. He threw the hardest pitch that was thrown this year so far. Do you know how hard that was?
104.6 miles per hour. Do you understand how fast that really is?
Yeah, that's when the pitcher lets go, swing.
I did a little bit of research on this.
Okay.
At 104.6 miles per hour, that breaks down to 154 feet per second. At that speed, 393 milliseconds.
Yeah, that's like less than
to reach the plate. Yeah.
So you got less than a quarter of a second to make a decision on whether to swing or not.
So it takes about 75 to 100 milliseconds just to process the pitch being seen. Like that's your brain speed, right? Mm-hmm. And then it takes you about 100 to 150 milliseconds to actually process like swinging. So that gives you 0.125 seconds to decide whether that is what kind of pitch it is, where it's going to be. At that speed, it is almost impossible to hit the ball because you have 1/10 of a second to make a decision on where that ball is going to be. That's insane, dude.
That is insane. So less than 1.125 seconds.
0.125 seconds is how long you have to determine A, if it's going to be a strike, B, if you're going to swing, and C, where it's going to
where
be
you're
at.
going to be swinging at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where the pitch is going, really.
So there's only 3 pitchers pitchers currently active right now that have thrown that hard. So the previous hardest thrown before that was 103.6 miles an hour.
Did you know that 105 is calculated as almost as fast as the human arm can throw a ball?
We're getting close.
Yeah, it's like almost our 105. They say is about as hard as humanly possible to throw a baseball.
The strike was 104.6 miles an hour that he threw it on. The very next pitch that he threw was another 104 mile an hour pitch, which was the strikeout.
Did you see the guy swinging at it? Dude, he had no idea what to do.
No, you can't do anything with that. You can't do anything with that. Sorry, the pitchers that are 104 plus over the whole pitch tracking era: Aroldis Chapman, Jordan Hicks, Jhoan Duran, Ryan Heasley, Mauricio Cabrera, Camilo Duval, Tayron Guerrero, and Nefilia Feliz. I'm not saying the last one right, but those are all the players over 104 miles an hour.
Oh, those are the 8 pitchers.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's tracking back to 2008 where they started actually pitch tracking.
Do you know who I believe throws harder than all of them?
Who?
Nolan Ryan.
Oh yeah, I don't think they have the technology to actually track how hard he was throwing it.
So do you know where they're gunning it at right now?
Probably directly behind the plate, I'm assuming.
They're gunning it 3/4 of the way to home plate is where they're picking up the ball to scan for it.
Oh, okay.
In Nolan Ryan's day, they were picking it up as across the plate. Is when they were picking up the speed of the ball. So he was losing a lot on airspeed. When he was throwing back then, and he was throwing pretty hard back then. So I think I watched a video on Utah where they analyzed his pitch and tried to get based off of camera footage to see how fast he was throwing, off of how they said he was throwing 107 miles an hour if it was recorded today.
He was my favorite pitcher when I was a kid, dude.
I'm like, good grief, man. I mean, there's no way to conclusively prove that, but yeah.
He could probably still throw a mid-90s fastball to this day.
Oh, unfortunately, no. I don't think he can. Have you seen him?
I have seen him. I believe him. I believe in Nolan.
He's thrown a couple of opening day pitches.
They said he's still in like the 80s.
No, he bounced.
No.
Yeah, look it up. Look up the last
Fact check that, YouTube.
Look at the last time Randy Jansen threw out the first pitch. Who the
hell's Randy Jansen? That's what I want to know. Randy Johnson could definitely still throw it that fast.
Randy Jansen.
I don't know who Randy Jansen is. Okay? But Nolan Ryan, I have faith in.
Yeah. Hey, correct me if I'm wrong. If he threw out a first pitch recently and it did hit 80 miles an hour.
Nolan Ryan slander is not allowed on the DNA Sports Recap. Tell him, Internet.
Nolan. What?
I told you.
Are you freaking kidding me?
I told you.
The one I saw where he bounced it like 3 times.
No, dude. I'm telling you. Dude can still slang that thing.
Absolutely, man.
And that's like, I mean, he probably warmed up a few times before throwing that, but
Oh, everybody does.
Yeah.
You can see him on the side of the field warming up with the backup catcher before they go out, so... yeah, I definitely believe that. Yeah, 85 miles an hour. It's 63 years old. 2010. Nice job.
Okay, 2010. So it's 13 years. He's in his 70s now. Okay, maybe he can't throw 85 anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the last first pitch he had was pretty impressive.
Yes, the last first pitch he's had that, according to that, maybe I've seen one after. I don't know.
I feel like I've seen one after that. He's still like threw a pretty decent fastball. Yeah.
Nice. Well, once again, folks, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the DNA Sports Recap. Keep in mind, if you are watching one of our videos, the full episode in its entirety will be available on YouTube underneath playlists, podcasts. That's where the full podcast episode will be. You can also find us anywhere on audio where you find your podcasts.
Yep, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like it, share it, subscribe to it, keep commenting. We love interacting with you guys.
Well, once again, folks, my name is Darren, that is AJ, and this has been the DNA Sports Recap.
Till next time. Couldn't remember. I was like, do I say something else? Like, share, subscribe, comment, keep gauged.